Senator Joe Griffo, what's your favorite fish fry?
Yeah, I was just going to answer.
He won't tell you.
He won't. He won't.
He won't
He'll give you half a dozen that are really good.
Exactly.
Let me give you the list of all the great ones.
That it's a matter of taste, right? And I think they're all taste good.
Good answer, Joe. Okay, marriage age. It's shocking that, and we have to really think about. We really do have to think about the fact that there are religious issues at stake here, where some people believe that somebody underage can get married. But in New York State, apparently it does happen.
Yeah, it does happen a lot. We had actually 3,800 cases of this from 2000 to 2010 because that's census data.
Wow, in a decade,
so the bottom here,
many. That's crazy.
Regardless of any aspect of your religious beliefs and rights.
Well, that's where it does get a little sticky.
But 18-year-olds, I've talked about a universal age for adulthood because I think that's something we should look at. But beyond that, to have 14 and 15-year-olds getting married right now, and sometimes, even though it's parental consent, sometimes we find out later it's parental coercion.
Yeah, can you explain that?
Well, people are coercing the parents for some reason. They may say to them, this is a matter of a religious belief or something. The parent may disagree with that, but then feel maybe I have to do this. So there's just a lot of issues
But
here.
even the old-fashioned, go way back, and they were arranged marriages, and that's
correct.
Kind of what some of this stuff is we're talking about.
I think the bill is a good bill. It basically brings us into the 21st century. We talk about protecting kids. We talk about
everyone would have to be a judge's order.
No, well, what it would be is you couldn't get married under 18, and unless no 14, 15-year-olds get married anymore. 16 and 17, a 17-year-old would need the approval of a court. So 14, 16, no marriage. 17, approval of the court and parents. 18, you do what you want.
Interesting. Do you think you can get that passed based on religious?
I think
it holds it holds up for the religious test. In the higher courts.
I'm not a lawyer, so that'll be determined by the legal system. But I do believe this is something that the governor supports, and that the assembly will look likewise at.
I'm all about this anti-Semitism issue. Explain what we're talking about here, and then I want to tell you this is. State bill, there's a story about this in the OD today.
You're all against it.
State bill S2493. I hope you're against this. Nobody wants to be against or for anti-Semitism.
Right, correct.
But this bill, there's a free speech issue here, I'm afraid. But, okay, let's first talk about it.
So the first thing that we did in the Senate, we passed a couple of bills that expand upon policies that we have already, that we would not invest New York or taxpayers' dollars in organizations that we know are involved in, for instance, boycotting the state of Israel or things of that nature, because we believe that is prejudicial behavior. Secondly, we will not fund student groups through this college system that involved in hate activities. So you have a group, you're entitled to have that experience on the campus. So if you feel strongly and you want to exercise your First Amendment rights, you can do it. But we're not going to provide you money for your organization in order for you to spread a hateful message. So that's what the Senate passed. I think the Assembly's working on some bills too. I mean, look, we all deplore this. These are cowardly acts, in my opinion, despicable.
But I don't think your Senate bill meets a constitutional. It just won't meet constitutional law.
Make that determination.
I'm a lawyer, Joe. I've been studying.
A doctor.
I've got these law encyclopedias in my house, and a doctor too. You're right, and I'm a meteorologist. I can tell you, it's not going to be that cold tomorrow.
And a parade organizer.
I'm a parade organizer.
And coordinator.
Call me a parade aficionado. But listen, Joe.
Musician.
Here's why. Well, that is debatable. Here's why. I mean, I don't think you can discriminate based on what is ugly or not ugly.
Well, we provide. Well, it may be almost like the Supreme Court's ruling on pornography. If you remember, a couple of the justices said at the time, "I know it when I see it."
Right.
But in this particular case, what we're saying, Bill, is we're providing taxpayers' dollars.
I know.
So you get the right to go out there and say whatever you want. But you don't get the right to have those dollars.
But why do you need a law? I mean, couldn't you just vote against taxpayer dollars going to something like this? I mean, does there need to be a law? And again, who gets to decide what is ugly and what isn't ugly for free speech? What is what isn't protected under free. That's where the dangers, the slippery slope comes in, which is why I'm telling you this will never work.
Right. Well, you're on a college campus, and this is about intolerant college student groups, okay?
Right.
So we would leave that, obviously. And in the university setting, there's a lot that goes on.
But you know, an intolerant college group are all those pieces of garbage that walked on the campus with their long hair, who are now baby boomers running all our country, out of our companies today, all those pieces of garbage that were protesting the war. That could be considered
That's not similar, Bill, in my opinion, because you were protesting a policy then. The other is you're advocating hatred or harm
Well, I mean,
to a
obviously,
particular group of individuals.
There's a
different.
reason why the KKK gets to exist, though, Joe. I mean,
And
there's
we're
a
not
reason.
saying that somebody cannot exist.
All right.
It's just that we're not going to fund your existence.
Let's agree to disagree if you're okay with that.
Sure.
And then cybersecurity and terrorism.
Yeah, we're just looking to continue to look at different ways to face terrorist activities. This one deals with financial situations, people that perpetrate financial harm on others through using technology right now will suffer a severe and significant penalty as a result of consequences of that. So we're trying to deal with the issues that are continually confronting us as a result of all the new technology that exists and how people abuse that, unfortunately.
All right. Do you want, by the way, my online college that I got my law degree from? It's easy.
I'd rather see your medical degree because
I got one of those.
I want some
of those too.
I want some nutritional
I
assistance
could
here.
get you $99 for a degree. It's the most amazing thing.
You can also legally marry people.
I
now,
marry
right?
people. It's incredible.
I think we ought to call it the K
my.
factor
That's it.
or special K.
I was asked to please ask you this. What's happening with sanctuary state legislation in the Senate?
Not going anywhere.
Not going anywhere. So that means the state will not make up the difference, the federal government?
No, that's different now. Sanctuary state is a different thing. That's talking about basically a policy of
The governors.
Yeah, the governor wants right now, and I don't believe that we're not a sovereign nation here. So I don't believe in that aspect of making ourselves a sanctuary state. And then trying to put risk funding that comes with various programs. The other point you're making is relative to refugee resettlement, and Utica has a refugee center. The Senate, I have actually signed on and advocated to the leader. We've met with groups. They've asked for about $12 million long term, but I've talked to Shelley Callahan over at the Refugee Center, so we're looking at basic figures, and I don't know that we can pull this off, but we're going to try to do what we can to put money in this year's budget. At least I'm advocating from the Senate. I have 11 of my colleagues in the Senate doing so. The Assemblyman, Anthony Brindisi, has done that in the Assembly.
This is really big.
So hopefully, and what we're trying to do is support them right now until we figure out what's really going on and what the ultimate impact will be, so that you don't have layoffs and things of that nature.
And you see
two different things there. One is a political position. The other is actually what people are doing to resettle people who are actually here and allowed to come in.
Our take on this last week when the Zeka crew was in is it's not the immigration that's bad here in Utica. It's not the immigrants or the refugees. But money is an issue. I mean, we do need the money to be able to, especially like the school districts. They need that money. Refugees actually can make a community better, and we've seen it firsthand.
Absolutely.
And then just quickly,
we're going right to the top with you, Joe, here.
Attorney General wasting New York State tax money, challenging president's travel ban.
Well, I mean, I understand that they can take positions,
and I'm
but
not
I think,
making a point.
It
was a question.
Well, no, I think that's a good point. I think that we're starting to see now. This is a kind of an area where I would need half a show to talk about. I believe the Attorney General is becoming way too political, and that he's trying to use the state and policies to challenge federal policies for political agenda, basically.
Right.
So I think they have the opportunity and the right from time to time to challenge, but some of these now, if you look at, they're purely on political decisions being made in Washington, and if you're of a different party, then you begin to initiate lawsuits. And that's the stuff I think we got to take a look at. Let's do the job here to protect the people of our state first and foremost. There's a lot going on in March.
All right. A lot going on in March. Will it be the governor coming? We will find out here. We'll see. I got a break here. Hold tight at WIBX.